Today's topic is vitamin K. So vitamin K is a fat soluble vitamin, and it also has a coenzyme function, specific coenzyme function, and it helps in the process of coagulation. Now, chemistry of vitamin K. Vitamin K exists in three vitamins: vitamin K1, vitamin K2, and vitamin K3. All are naphthoquinone derivatives. Naphthoquinone derivatives with isoprenoid side chain. Vitamin K1 is known as phylloquinone. Vitamin K2 is known as menaquinone. Vitamin K3 is known as menadione. Phylloquinone is present in plants. Menaquinone is produced by intestinal bacteria, and menadione is the synthetic form of vitamin K. Now, absorption of vitamin K. We take vitamin K in the diet, as well as it is also produced by intestinal bacteria. Then it is absorbed along with fats with the help of bile salts. It is stored in the liver. It is transported as LDL and VLDL. So it is similar to vitamin E. Now, vitamin K functions. Biochemical function. Vitamin K acts as a coenzyme, and it helps the enzyme carboxylase, a microsomal carboxylase. Usually, most of the carboxylation reactions, the coenzyme is biotin, but some of the carboxylation reactions are helped by vitamin K. This carboxylation reactions activates the blood clotting factors 2, 7, 9, and 10. These blood clotting factors are synthesized as inactive precursors, then they are modified after translation, and this modification involves carboxylation of a specific glutamate residues of this protein factors. These are protein factors, and forming that glutamate residue into a gamma carboxy glutamate residue. Now, how this reaction takes place? So 2, 7, 9, and 10, these are protein enzymes. So they have protein structure. Suppose this is the N terminal having one specific glutamate residue at the middle, then this is the C terminal. So the structure of glutamate you all know. Amino group, carboxyl group, then at the gamma carbon it consists of a carboxylic group. So this is glutamate. It is carboxylated by the enzyme carboxylase by vitamin K. Coenzyme is vitamin K. It also needs oxygen. Now here, this I am only writing the glutamate residue, and it's CH, CO, CH2, CH2, and the gamma carbon will have an additional carboxyl group. So this is gamma carboxyl glutamate, and it is written as GLA. Normally glutamate is written as GLU, but gamma carboxyl glutamate is written as GLA. Now, while helping the carboxylase enzyme, vitamin K is oxidized to an epoxide. this epoxide is again reduced by epoxide reductase to form an oxidized vitamin K. This is in the quinone form. So this vitamin K, the reduced form is the hydroquinone form. Hydroquinone. So this reduced vitamin K has to be regenerated so that it can further help the carboxylase enzyme. So it is regenerated by the enzyme vitamin K reductase. Coenzyme is the NADPH. It is converted into NADP. Okay, vitamin K reductase. So this is known as vitamin K cycle, in which the reduced form of vitamin K is regenerated. Now some anticoagulants are there known as warfarin and dicumarol, which inhibits this step. This step is inhibited. Warfarin and dicumarol. Warfarin and dicumarol. This inhibits the enzyme epoxide reductase so that the vitamin K, the reduced form, cannot be regenerated, so it cannot further help the carboxylase enzyme. Now what happens when glutamate is carboxylated to form gamma carboxyglutamate? Glutamate to gamma carboxyglutamate. When there is addition of one more carboxyl group to glutamate residue, then it will have increased negative charges. So the calcium ions having positive charges will be bound with this glutamate, gamma carboxyglutamate residues, which forms a bridge between the gamma carboxyglutamate of the factor 2, 7, 9 and 10 and the phospholipid membrane of the platelet, which is important for blood coagulation. So this is how vitamin K helps in the process of blood coagulation. So this gamma carboxylation of glutamate residue also occurs in some other proteins like osteocalcin, which is found in the bones. Now recommended dietary allowance of vitamin K is around 50 to 100 microgram per day. Sources, dietary sources, plant sources are there, which are green leafy vegetables like cabbage, cauliflower, spinach, tomato. Then animal sources are there from egg, meat, dairy products, liver, etc. And we can also synthesize it in our intestine by intestinal bacteria. Deficiency manifestation of vitamin K, usually it is not common, but it can happen due to malabsorption, obstructive jaundice, chronic pancreatitis, gastrointestinal infection, or when there is overzealous administration of antibiotics. Now it is common in premature infants because of some reasons, like they have limited intake of vitamin K and their hepatic store is also limited, and they have no intestinal bacteria. So premature infants, sometimes there is vitamin K deficiency manifestations. It is known as hemorrhagic disease of the newborn. Hemorrhagic disease of newborn. So therefore, in preterm infants, prophylactic doses of vitamin K1, synthetic vitamin K1 is administered. Now, when there is vitamin K deficiency in children and adults, it can be manifested as bruising tendency, there will be bruises, then ecchymosis, ecchymotic patches will be there, Then mucous membrane hemorrhages will be there. Then there will be internal bleeding. There will be post-traumatic bleeding will be increased. Post-traumatic bleeding, and there will be prolonged prothrombin time, increased prothrombin time and clotting time. Okay, so these are the vitamin deficiency manifestations of vitamin K. Now, there may be hypervitaminosis when there is large doses of synthetic vitamin K is administered to a patient. There may be hemolytic anemia, so which may cause jaundice, carnic tears, and brain damage. So this is all about vitamin K.